FireWire, there's two different types for this. There's FireWire 4-pin and FireWire 6-pin. On the back of this right now, you're seeing a FireWire 6-pin port. Pretty much, you only connect either an external hard drive or a video camera through these ports. There's also the general connectivity ports that we use all the time, such as your Ethernet port, which connects to your high-speed internet, or your modem port, which we would connect to a phone line. Let's take a look inside the system unit. These are the essential electronic components used to process data. The types of components that you'll find in here are your power supply. This guy powers everything inside of the computer, whether it's a CD drive, the motherboard, the processor. The power supply is needed to electronically power everything. The next thing is the motherboard. The motherboard I call the backbone of the computer. Every device connects to the motherboard at some point or another. The hard disk drive, or as I like to call it, the long-term memory of the computer, is also one of the core components inside of the system unit. The CPU, or the microprocessor, is the brains of the computer. This is what processes all the data. There's also a variety of expansion cards that can be used for sound, video, and sometimes even connectivity. Let's take a closer look at the motherboard. Again, this is the backbone of the computer. Everything connects to this at some point or another. The CPU is generally hard fixed onto the motherboard. Then on top of that, there's generally some sort of cooling unit. RAM, or random access memory, is your short-term memory of the computer. I'll get more into this later on when we're discussing RAM. Expansion cards, once again, can be used for video, audio, or connectivity. There's also some built-in components, such as your transistor buses. The central processing unit. This is the brains of the computer. It's also referred to as your microprocessor. It controls all functions of the computer, processes all the commands and all the instructions. It can perform billions of tasks per second. Your memory module, or your random access memory, your RAM, it stores data and instructions. It's the short-term memory of your computer. It is temporary, volatile storage. If I were to ask you what I just said in this sentence, you should be able to replay to me exactly what I just said. But if I were to ask you what I said in this sentence a week from now, you wouldn't be able to reply to me with the same accuracy. That's because it's your short-term memory. And just as a computer shuts down and it's deleted, when you go to sleep at night, generally most of the short-term memory that you have is deleted. That is how RAM functions. Unless it is stored into the long-term memory or the hard drive, it makes it very difficult for the computer to access this kind of information. It also is extremely fast. It operates in a nanosecond. Expansion cards. These add functionality to your computer. It provides new connections for different peripheral devices. The most common types are your sound card, your modem, your video card or your VGA card, and your network card. Setting it all up, your ergonomics. Basically, this is done to minimize injury or discomfort to you while using the computer. The main steps to follow is to make sure your monitor is positioned correctly. You want to use an adjustable chair. Assume the proper position while typing. You want to give yourself breaks while working. You don't want to work for hours on end. And you want to make sure you're working in adequate light. That concludes this lesson.